this UCLA program being a bit of an enigma. The recruiting classes have generally been in that top 15 range, and obviously the injury bug has hit this squad 2 consecutive years, Josh Rosen being the poster child this past season. Your thoughts about the recruiting class coming to the fold this year?
Right now, I think, Mark, it's really a mixed bag for UCLA. They've got 18 commits so far. They're generally going to be ranked in the number 15 to 18 range nationally. But it's what Mora is getting. They lost 7 starters on defense from last year's team, and he's had great success recruiting on the defensive side so far. They got Jaelen Phillips, who's a 6'6", 250-pound defensive end from Redlands, California. He's the number 6 overall recruit, regardless of position. Was clearly the best player at U.S. Army All-American Week a couple of weeks ago, and has been committed to UCLA since last spring. So he's been solid. At that U.S. Army All-American game, they got Darnay Holmes to commit. He's a 5'11", 185-pound defensive back from Calabasas, and he's a top 15 overall. He had narrowed it down to Ohio State, USC, and UCLA. So that's a big get for Jim Mora. Phillips and Holmes, they're both in school already, so they're set. They're solid. This week, he got defensive back Elijah Gates from Buena Park. He picked UCLA over Oregon. What's missing on the from the UCLA recruiting is offensive line. That was the bugaboo with UCLA last year. That was the weak spot in the lineup. Mora made the switch from a spread offense to a pro-style offense without having really recruited the offensive line to do it. And Rosen got hurt. UCLA was 127th in the country in rushing. It was pretty much dismal on the offensive line. Now, the good news is they've got 16 offensive linemen returning. The bad news is they've got 16 offensive linemen returning from a lineup that was pretty horrendous. And he only has 3 offensive linemen here. A lot of the offensive linemen didn't see any playing time last year. A lot of the backups, the second and third stringers. So there's a real unknown to the UCLA offensive line. Is there talent there? He's signed 18 players. He's got 18 commits. So he's got room to get a couple more offensive linemen if he can get them in. But there's not really a sense that there's a lot out there on the offensive line for him to go after.
Yeah, Paul Perkins made it out of UCLA just in time to get to the NFL and have some offensive linemen in front of him and forge a career at this point. Looking at UCLA, this has to be the best 2-7. That's the good news I'm going to throw at you, Tony. Right. The best 2-7 conference team in America by far. I lined up the seedings looking at the Power 5, and definitely this was the most talented team that was buried at the bottom of the league. So it's going to be up from here. If you had 1 or 2 names
the other part of it too is, of course, now the offensive coaching staff has been gutted during the offseason. Jedd Fisch comes over from Michigan to replace Kennedy Polamalu. So Polamalu, the offensive coordinator, was out. The offensive line coach, Adrian Clem, is out. The quarterback and running back coach, Marcus Tuiasosopo, is out. So there's a lot of unknown on the UCLA offensive side of the ball going into this season.
All right, as you can tell, we've got a strong contingent from Last Word on College Football, including Tony Siracusa talking some UCLA football. Tony, we always appreciate the time. We'll definitely need to have you back.
Anytime, Mark.